It's the Flame Central podcast powered by Alcova Mortgage. We took last week off, so we knew we had to have a great guest
we're coming
this
in
week.
strong.
Vice President, Director of Athletics, Ian McCAW. You know, that also means one thing, that the 2023-2024 season is over, with the exception with some track athletes competing at nationals this week. But thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, great to be with you. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Usually we take like questions, mailbag questions from fans, and we just recklessly speculate in our answers. So we thought, why don't we have somebody that actually knows?
Knows what he's talking about.
Get some legitimacy to this program.
Good. I'll give you some reckless answers.
Good.
Yeah, we'll try to ask those good questions. You know, first year in CUSA for this athletic department, what was your overall reaction to how all of the teams did?
Yeah, I thought it was a really good year for us. Obviously, we won 12 conference championships, and there can't be more than a handful of schools around the country that have won that much. So we won a lot. But we learned a lot, because I think our coaches certainly were challenged navigating not just new conference, but the transfer portal, the NIL environment. And so I thought it was a year of a lot of winning and a lot of learning, and I think it's going to position us really well for the upcoming year.
Yeah, how do you go about trying to grade or judge a program, given that, I mean, no situation is the same, right? Maybe Conference USA is way stronger in one sport than another. Like how do you try to grade that out? Everyone would love it to just be titles or the standard, but I know that that's not realistic. How do you do it?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time benchmarking before we went in the conference. We had Conference USA preparedness meetings with all of our coaches to really make sure that we're on the same page, because you're right, some of these sports, and volleyball's one, really good in Conference USA. Baseball is very good in Conference USA. Certainly men's basketball was a big step up from the ASUN. So we definitely saw that, and so there's some adjustment necessary, and I think our coaches have factored that into the recruiting process, that we're going to need to elevate talent in a number of our sports. And I think, again, overall we did a great job with it, but there are a couple programs that didn't live up to the standard that they expect, but I think they've made the adjustments necessary to do that.
And let's be honest, football made it hard on everybody.
Football
made it hard on everybody.
Football ruined it. Well, like, not really, but like they come in and just go undefeated, win the title, and like, I mean,
it made it look too easy.
That was a little delay. Was that funny, Joe? Welcome to the conversation.
With that being said, with football, how you have Conference USA, and now with the 12-team playoffs, and Liberty, obviously the knock is going to be from the strength of schedule. You got in, like, can Liberty get in with the strength of schedule? When you go about scheduling, knowing that there's the 12-team playoff now, how do you, obviously you have your conference games, and nothing you do, you got to play within your conference. You're trying to win a conference championship first. But how do you go about increasing your strength of schedule moving forward in order to say, okay, yes, we've beaten these teams to make us competitive for that 12-team playoff? Yeah,
Joe, you know, football scheduling's done so far in advance, it's hard to be nimble, because we have games scheduled in 2034, 2033. So there's not that much you can impact. Now, we're fortunate. I think we have a good strength of schedule this year. Obviously, the game, App State, will be very, very challenging. We've got a game against a good team from the American in East Carolina. So it's definitely going to be a step up in terms of where we have been. And then we're fortunate to be able to add a series with JMU here in the next couple of years as well. That's going to give us some added strength of schedule. So, but really, you know, we've just got to, you know, week in, week out, we've got to play great football. And if we do like we did last year, obviously we're going to put ourselves in great position.
How does that work, though? With, let's say you said, hey, we got scheduled out 2034, and you feel as if, like, hey, we really need to bolster that. And around the country, do a lot of these schools break contracts with the schools in order to help that be done? Or is it like, unless it's because of change of conference, whatever it may be, you just can't do anything about it?
Yeah, it's really hard to break contracts in football. It doesn't happen a lot. Again, the opportunity we had was with UMass making a move from independent to the MAC. That freed up 3 games, actually, and so we replaced 2 of them with the JMU series, and then the other, we're actually looking at potentially doing a neutral site game with an opponent. So
that's a big upgrade.
So those games, that will help strengthen our schedule. So I think those are things that will help us. But obviously, you know, so much it comes down to, you know, we've got to perform in Conference USA, and to put yourself in the mix for the college football playoff, you have to win your conference.
Yeah. You mentioned in talking about just the programs overall, you know, some didn't maybe meet the standards. You'll have made, hopefully in the next month, 2 new head coaching hires, right? Just this summer. You've been here almost 8 years now. How is it different hiring a head coach now as compared to earlier in your time? And is there a different response to the Liberty name and brand now than there was early on?
Yeah, no question. I mean, the trajectory of our program over the last really 4 or 5 years has really elevated to a point where Liberty's a destination for a lot of people, and that wouldn't have been the case maybe 7 or 8 years ago. And so that certainly helps. And but with that come expectations.
Right.
I think people know, both our current coaches and coaches that are looking at coming to Liberty know the expectations are very high. And because we do have great facilities and we have great resources, that this isn't a job where you're supposed to come in and go 500. This is a job where you're supposed to compete for conference championships and beyond.
Yeah.
What's the most difficult part about being an AD?
Emily, I'm blessed. This is an amazing job. I love every minute of it, and love working with our coaches and student athletes. I would say right now we're in a really unique environment where there's going to be a lot of transition as we've gone into, as I mentioned, the kind of this transfer portal environment, the NIL environment. Now with this House lawsuit settlement, we're going to be moving into, I think, revenue sharing and some of the changes that will come from that. So it's a very dynamic time, a lot of change, and it's important to have vision but not get too far in front, and make sure we're really thoughtful in terms of some really important decisions that we're going to need to make over the next couple of years.
Do you have a group of mentors and other ADs in the college athletic space that you rely on and lean on? Because I guess really no one knows how to navigate this because nobody's done the whole NIL, and we'll get into the university paying student athletes in a moment. But do you have a group of mentors that you lean on for that?
I do, and I've been really fortunate. Probably my greatest mentor is a gentleman named Kevin White, who was the athletic director at Notre Dame for about 10 years, and then most recently was at Duke. And so
you're going to try to get them on the schedule, maybe? Yeah, you guys buddies,
as many sports as we can. That would be great. But no question. And I also have some younger mentors, and they're really helpful in navigating some things, whether it's digital media or NIL or whatever it may be. So that's one of the things that's interesting. We really compete on the field and on the court, but off it, there's a lot of collegiality, a lot of good information sharing, and we benefit from that.
So with the NIL moving forward, obviously things have changed so drastically, is that Virginia passes the law and says, okay, hey, the universities can pay them. But then the NCAA comes in and says, we really don't want that to happen. And so obviously the university is going to back off and try to follow the guidelines through the NCAA. Now the NCAA comes back and says, okay, we're going to open it up and say, yeah, the universities can pay. Now you look around Liberty and you see the amazing facilities, you see the university is in a great place financially. What does that mean for the student athletes moving forward with the university being able to pay the players?
Yeah, well, we jumped into NIL early on with our SOAR program. And so we've done a great job of educating them and training them and giving them opportunities for NIL. And then we also have a collective, Flames Rising, which has done a great job in the collective space for us. So I think we're really well positioned right now. This next phase, as we look at revenue sharing, I don't think anyone knows quite what that looks like yet.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to see how this House settlement gets, first of all, approved by the judge, and then what some of the ramifications of that are with the NCAA. So I think over the next 9 to 12 months, it'll start to become clear. And again, we'll need to make sure we're putting ourselves in position to be successful in the new environment.
What do you see if you had your way as athletic director and all this stuff is playing out right now, and you had to say, okay, Ian, it's your decision. This is how we want it to go.
Yeah.
What would be ideal for you and the university?
I think if we have a centralized model where the NCAA and the conferences come up with a predetermined revenue sharing, they figure out Title IX, and they allocate the funds to student athletes. Thereby, the schools don't have to make some of those difficult decisions. That would help us a great deal. And so really, we continue to have a collective, we continue to have NIL, but everything from a revenue sharing standpoint would be determined nationally and through the conferences. That would be the best outcome.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So does that mean that, okay, you have a star player on their football team, basketball team, whoever it is, and that player goes out onto the market and they're worth $2 million. I mean, that's what some of these numbers are right now, as ridiculous it is. Would that put the way you like, would that money have to come through the collective? Or would it be like, okay, we're salary capped out through revenue sharing at this amount, you got to raise the rest through the collective? Is that how it would work?
Yeah, so I think what would happen would be, let's say that's a football quarterback. There would be a formula that would come from the NCAA through the conferences. The quarterbacks would be worth X from a revenue sharing standpoint. Then on top of that, the schools could provide a scholarship, cost of attendance, Alston funds, and then the collective could come in with whatever resources were appropriate from the collective. So I think that would be the model that would most likely, that would make the most sense.
So the collective still is a very important factor then.
The collectives are not going away. That's for sure. Yes.
We've heard a number of coaches when we just talk to them, around campus, that it's always goes back to the NIL stuff and how much, boy, things have changed. And we hear that in terms of their job daily, right, and what they're doing. How much are you hearing that, like, from them? How much are you working with them to try to help set them up for success through all of this? And how much more difficult does that make your job just in general?
Yeah, it's interesting. There's an article not too long ago that says the most important person for an athletic director is the head of their collective, not their president, not their chancellor, not their head football coach. It's the head of the collective. You need to really be in sync with that individual, because every recruit in a revenue-producing sport that comes on campus is going to ask about NIL, is going to ask about opportunities. And so if the collective does not have opportunities available for, the top athletes and the student athletes that are worth the most from an NIL standpoint, it's going to be very difficult to recruit. And if it's very difficult to recruit, it's going to be hard to have successful programs.
Yeah.
Wow. What about the transfer portal? Because it started where, you can only transfer once, and now you can do a spring here and a spring there, and then half a fall here. So what do you see happening in the world of the transfer portal?
Yeah, the unlimited transfer, I think, is unhealthy. I think, any student who goes to, whether it's student athlete or student, goes to 3 or 4 or 5 schools during their tenure, that's not a good situation. That's not a good education. That's not a good environment. We're not setting that individual up for to be successful in life. So we're very focused on retention and trying to retain our student athletes, and that's, I think, what our collective is very focused on as well, as retention. And we've been very successful. Overall, the transfer portal has been very good to Liberty. We've retained well, and we've had some incredible student athletes transfer to Liberty who've been really great assets, and they've had a great experience here. So overall, the transfer portal has been good to Liberty, but the unlimited transfer, I think, is really just creates an unhealthy environment in college athletics. And unfortunately, that one lawsuit is what led to that. And I don't think we're in a good spot. I don't think anyone likes it, but it is where we are.
It just adds a stress level to head coaches that goes beyond, anything else.
Yeah.
Looking forward now, spinning it forward in this next year, what's on the horizon? I know there's always new facilities, new projects. What are a few things you can highlight moving forward?
Yeah, so we have 3 projects we're in the middle of right now. The golf practice facilities come along really well. We're hoping to plant grass in July on that, so that one's coming along, and that'll be a big asset for the golf program this fall. We're working on the baseball pitching lab, and that really puts us in elite space. There are only a handful of schools that have a pitching lab for baseball. So again, that'll be ready by, I think, late fall. And so that'll really be an impact for that program. And then the Project East campus, the lounges and locker room areas for field hockey and lacrosse will be ready later this month. So that's going really well. So those are the big projects on tap right now.
That's awesome. I mean, just raising the bar year after year. What about you this summer? Are you going to take any vacations, or what are some of your hobbies? We need to get an episode of Ian McCAW out of the office. So we do like this segment out of the office with a coach or AD or athlete. So what do you got going on?
I might bore some people with that, but our for vacation, we've never gone to the Outer Banks. We're going to go to the Outer Banks in July. Yeah, we're looking forward to that. Corolla area.
We go down to Duck.
Yeah. So right next door.
Right
there. So we're looking forward to that. That'll be a first for us. Going to drive up to Canada to see family as well for a little bit of the summer as well. So
and you're from Ontario.
Looking forward to
Ontario?
it. Yes, just outside Toronto. So we'll do that. And as far as some of my hobbies, I like to read. I'm a reader. I love leadership books. Love Christian leadership books in particular.
That's awesome. But that would be a very
that out of the office.
That'd be a boring segment. That'd be a boring segment.
Yeah.
You'd have to read out loud for sure.
And Ian, don't forget. Don't forget. And I know that you're a humble guy and you like to keep things to yourself, but you can go ahead and share with the Flame Central podcast powered by Alcova Mortgage that. How did you do in the pickleball tournament down at the conference championships? Is that where you're at?
Conference USA Pickleball Championship. My wife and I came in third out of about 12 teams.
Nice.
So
Wow, they let women play in that league? That's nice.
Oh, she's
Yeah.
so jealous.
We got the bronze, so we're going to work on a game a little bit.
Just a little bit
Yeah,
more.
see if we can go get the championship next year.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Well, I need you to come out to the Yacht Pickleball League, the
Yeah, you're
JPL,
more than welcome to come.
because
Yeah. We'd love to have you.
they need an athletic director and they need to understand what Title IX is. Because I still have not been invited, and I will say to every single guest that ever comes on this show, until I get an invitation, because this is not Augusta.
Ian, we'd love to have you out at the Pickleball.
Yeah, of
Anytime.
course.
You're
Of
always
course.
welcome.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Well, it's been really exciting to watch, you continue to raise this athletic department to another level, and I have no doubt you guys will do that.
Yeah, and I guess
next
just
year.
one last thing for me before we go, like, what is in your mind to take Liberty from where they are now and winning hopefully conference championships to that next national level, whether it's in a sport in particular or the program as a whole? What do you feel like is the biggest thing that can take you to that next level?
Yeah, we've really built into our strategic plan. It's really getting to those special moments like we did in football last year, getting to a New Year's Six game, getting to a super regional in softball, a super regional in baseball, getting deep in the NCAA tournament in men's and women's basketball and, across the board in our other sports. So and we're right there. We're knocking on the door, and that's really the next step for us.
Awesome. And you were mentioning in another interview that we did, the baptisms, you're not only using those whirlpools, there was over 50. How awesome is that? Just a reflection of what the mission of this university is.
Yeah, it was really special. We talked about the 12 conference championships, but I'm certainly just as excited about, having 50 baptisms, which is absolutely amazing, and just what God's doing on this campus. We also had a highest grade point average ever, all 20 teams over 3.0 and a 3.36 GPA across the board. So it's not just one thing, it's across all aspects of our athletic program. We're really excited about what's going on.
That's awesome. Well, we mentioned him earlier, President Costin, Donnie Costin. Feel like we do a pickleball tournament with just Ian and Don. Like that could be, intense.
Yeah.
The president and vice president AD, that could be fun.
Well, we
set it up.
And you throw Matt Warner in the mix?
No, Matt Warner. We don't want anybody throwing. We don't want anyone throwing.
The angriest player I know.
I might have to dial it back a thousand.
Yeah. No, we can do the play-by-play. I'll do the sideline reporting. This could be great.
Yeah, we were a TV event.
Yeah, we were really blessed by his leadership. He's just been a transformational difference in terms of his leadership, and along with Jonathan Falwell as our chancellor, we're in a really, really special time at Liberty right now. We need to continue to build on it.
Keep it rolling.
I knew last year when he was like maybe a couple days on the job and gave us an extra vacation day for 4th of July, I'm like,
that did it.
I like this guy.
It was Team Dondi, like that.
Like,
Yeah. She was all in. Yeah. It didn't take
I was
long.
all in early. All right, well, I know things are slowing down, but we have more Flame Central podcasts powered by Alcova Mortgage all summer long, checking in with some alumni throughout the year. Remember, you can be a part of the show, flamecentral@liberty.edu.
Send us all your questions.
And that's the mailbag. Yeah. Do you want to do an updated version?
Oh, 100%. Good job, Emily. That's the way to...
If we can just have you hold this mug and look in this camera.
I mean, just nail this.
Flame Central Podcast powered by Alcova Mortgage.
Flame Central Podcast powered by Alcova Mortgage.
What a natural.
Beautiful.
What a natural. Ian, thank you so much again for all of us. We'll see you next week.
Enjoyed it.
See ya.